Mark Rogers TV on the Big Ten recruiting front with the Fighting Illini coming off a 5-7 campaign with Mark Primeano of the Champagne Room helping us to break down Illinois' class. Mark, thanks so much for joining us for a first time here.
Oh, thanks for having me.
We got Illinois lined up at 67 according to Rivals, 71 according to 24/7. Your thoughts about the class overall, and then maybe pick out some players that could make an impact pretty soon.
I'm kind of bummed out to discover that we've slipped to 71 on 24/7 because last I remember we were 69th, and I mean there's not really any difference, but it's kind of depressing. Did not see that coming. We're now below Colorado State, which
that shouldn't happen.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. Overall, I hate saying stuff like this because these are high school kids, but it's an underwhelming class. And I mean, that's really what I expected to happen when after the season they had with 5-7, after firing Beckman right before the season. So all of the work he had done, a lot of those guys, if it's not your coach, you're not going to stay. The Cubitt 2-year extension, which is a vote of no confidence, which makes recruiting damn hard. And then with Golish leaving and Ward and just the seemingly decimation of the coaching staff and just that amount of turnover, this is pretty much the best you were going to get. And it bothered me a bit when you would see on Twitter and in articles people saying stuff. I know on ESPN's Big Ten site, they talked about, oh, they did a great job for the situation they were in. Well, Illinois put themselves in that situation. You don't get rewarded for doing a good job after you've like, oh, well, you did great moving your car when you ran out of gas because you forgot to fill up the tank. Like, it's a little underwhelming, especially after last year when we were all finally happy that we had a top 50 class again. And then Beckman had to do the you need to be more positive speech at the press conference. But as for the guys at the top of the class, I do really like, I'm very happy with Zarrian Holcombe, the tight end who decommitted, I want to say, from Texas A&M to come to Illinois, because a 6'5", 215-pound tight end, if we actually start incorporating tight ends in the passing offense again, that's a great red zone weapon to have, because that's going to be matchup nightmares once he puts on a little bit more weight. Dele Harding, the inside linebacker, who is tremendously important now that we have no starting middle linebacker next year because of transfers when TJ Neal left. He was another huge last-minute get, and I think he honestly will be the most important part of the class because it's just such an intense position of need, and he's going to be playing next year. I don't know that he'll be the starter, but he's at least going to be the backup and on special teams just because there's no depth left on the defense. I think it's kind of hilarious that a fullback is our fourth best recruit.
Is he going to get utilized? He's going to have to.
Yeah, I mean, he's the number 2 fullback in the 2016 recruiting class, so hey, positives. But that's kind of insane in 2016 that you would have a fullback be that important of a recruit. Oh, man. This is kind of painful to scroll down through. MJ McGriff would be one of the off-the-radar guys. He's a wide receiver, 2-star they got out of Vero Beach, Florida. And he's only 5'8", so he's not going to be a deep threat if we're being realistic. He's not going to be your Geronimo Allison where he's just going to jump and get everything. But if they can use him as a slot guy and he's fast enough, he's a little rocket of a human, if they can use him well in the return game, his height won't really be a detriment there. Other than that, there's not really terribly much that I look at and just get kind of wowed.
So,
Like,
so based on what you've seen on
I know
social
Eli
media and
is the
scouting
quarterback.
reports and tape that you saw, there's nobody that really maybe he was a 2-star, but you think he could make an impact.
No, that would be McGriff for me,
Yeah.
the receiver. But I didn't really get to watch terribly too much tape. I spent the past month up in Omaha doing surgeries, so it's been a little around recruiting day. It was a little hard to keep up on all the tape and everything.
Gotcha. You were on to more important things. So let me ask you this, Mark. In regards to Illinois' status in the Big Ten West, obviously there's not a giant power in that division. Minnesota's jumped up and competed. Nebraska, Wisconsin would be the heavy favorites on a regular basis. Iowa, of course, wins last year. Northwestern competes. There's opportunity there. What does the Illinois fan base expect? What's realistic? Not necessarily 2016, but in general.
Well, what's realistic and what the Illinois fan base expect has never really been a thing that goes hand in hand, if we're being honest. Because no coach has left with a winning record since McGriff, and that was, 92, 93? I was 4 or 5 years old the last time Illinois had a coach that left in a good way, which is one of the things that when we have the upcoming coaching search that we're going to have again this fall and winter, you see a lot of people that go, oh, well, I don't want a coach that's coming here as a stepping stone job. Well, that's what Illinois is. We're not a destination job. No coach has left has used it as a stepping stone since McGriff. So you have guys that come because, well, it's just not working somewhere, like Zook, or you have guys that you took a chance on, like Beckham, and it just didn't work. So what Illinois fans expect is this sleeping giant is what you always hear, that Illinois should be good. And realistically, yeah, we should. We are the most populated state in the conference. We have the biggest city in the conference. You have not the talent base high school wise as Ohio or Pennsylvania, but it's decent. It's better than almost every other state in the conference. But you have a board of trustees that doesn't want to put the money into it. And you have the stricter academic standards, obviously not on the par of Northwestern, but they're a private school. That's different. But they are among the hardest academic standards. So you get guys decommitting like Contrail Moran, who just couldn't qualify academically to get in, and he would have been the top recruit in the class. But what we should expect and what should be realistic, it's not going to be a pretty year this upcoming year. And unless they nail the hire, it's not going to be pretty again for a while.
Because for a guy that's been watching Big Ten football his whole life, I'm waiting for Illinois to get back to the days of they were never national championship contenders, but Jeff George, Simeon Rice, playing in bowl games every year, contending with the big boys from time to time, a well-established program.
There's no reason they shouldn't be able to become what Iowa is. They just need the right coach, because no one expects Iowa to win the national championship. It's just not going to happen. Not in this day and age. It's not possible. But there's no reason Illinois shouldn't be able to be, all right, regularly win 6 or 7 games, occasionally have that nice 9-win season, and every so often miss a bowl game, as opposed to regularly miss bowl games, have a random year where you're amazing, and then fall right back. Put it in perspective, my 4 years of undergrad, they won 2 games my freshman year. They went to the Rose Bowl my sophomore year, won 5 games when I was a junior, and won 3 games when I was a senior. And it was the most Illinois 4-year stretch possible.
That pretty much sums it up right there. Well, Mark, we appreciate you coming on here, breaking down your 2016 recruiting class, even though it was a bit disappointing to look through that list of names. Mark Primeano from the Champaign Room from SB Nation joining us to talk some Illinois football. Hope to have you on maybe sometime during spring football. You can size things up for us.
Definitely.